Welcome to part 4 of everything I hate about the trucking industry. Here I'm going to be building tracks from Linden to Rahway, New Jersey as I talk about a few more things I hate about the trucking industry. I'm going to talk about pay, trucker fails videos, trucks with automatic transmissions, finding a place to park or make a U-turn, and New York City. By the way, Rahway is a 6-track station that was built by the Pennsylvania Railroad, an ambitious company that owned tracks as far west as Chicago, as far south as Texas, as far east as Washington, D.C., and as far north as New York City. They were very proud of this 4-track main line, which is 7 tracks between Linden and Rahway, which they nicknamed the Broadway. One of their trains, the Broadway Limited, which skipped Rahway, was named after this section of track which spans between New York and Philadelphia. The Broadway Limited, which ran from New York to Chicago, competed with the New York Central's 20th Century Limited. They would time their trains so that they would race each other in and out of Chicago. Their hope was that you'd look out your window, see that the other train is faster, and ride with them instead. In other words, free advertisement. Amtrak used to stop at Rahway until New Jersey Transit was created. They gave most of Pennsylvania Railroad stations to New Jersey Transit, only keeping Newark, Metro Park, New Brunswick, Princeton Junction, and Trenton. Newark Airport is the only station on this line that wasn't built by the Pennsylvania Railroad. Anyways, here's how pay works in the trucking industry. You get paid a few cents per mile. In my case, it was 39 cents per mile. But wait, there's a catch. You don't get paid the actual miles you drive. You get paid for the distance between the center of one zip code and another. For example, let's say you make a delivery from the southern end of 18042, Easton, Pennsylvania, to the northern end of 18042, a distance of 8 miles. At 39 cents per mile, that's $3.12, but since 18042 is 0 miles from 18042, you'd actually get paid $0.00 for that delivery. Trucking companies don't tell you how the pay scale works, so you'd be thinking, well, if I drive for 300 miles, I'll make $117, but it doesn't work that way. For example, if you made a delivery between the southern end of 18042 and the northern end of 18045 near Chatham, a distance of 11 miles, you won't make $4.29, you'll make $1.59, since the centers of those zip codes are 4 miles from each other. I was promised $1,200 per week, but in reality, my weekly pay varied wildly between $200 and $720. $200 is less than I made as a part-time truck loader at FedEx Ground, and $720 is less than I made in a construction union. Hell, you can make more money as a DoorDash or Uber driver than with the company I worked at. In fact, at the rate I was making money with DoorDash when I tried it out recently, if I worked 8-hour days, I could make $900 per week, or up to $1,200 if I worked on weekends, and I wouldn't have to deal with that stupid hours of service clock the government uses to arbitrarily control how much money you're allowed to make. Oh, and did I mention that my paycheck was always late? They say that payday is on Tuesday, but like clockwork, Tuesday would come and my paycheck was not there, even though I had direct deposit. No excuses. Even if it did arrive, it would always be missing at least one delivery, plus I was supposed to receive $130 per trailer I unloaded, but they kept forgetting to pay that to me. I don't understand why trucking companies find it so hard to pay you for the work you did. I don't see why they can't just do what Uber does. They have a driver app that monitors everything you did in real time, and they automatically pay you on payday, Wednesday for Uber. And when I tried it, the paychecks were never late. There's no excuse for not being able to pay me on time when I already have direct deposit set up. They got GPS to track you, and a driver app that seems to be more up to date than the actual company. How incompetent are they that they can't figure out I delivered something and they should pay me for it? Even if their driver app said I delivered something, my paycheck would still be on hold for unknown reasons. It's not just me. Go to any trucking company and under reviews, you'll definitely see at least one stating that their paycheck was always late. In fact, one that I read said they were starving because they haven't eaten in days, but the company hasn't paid them yet. Some companies have a workaround in the form of borrowing money from your paycheck, but come on, I shouldn't have to borrow money from myself just to pay my own bills. If you go with this option, you can cash a check of up to $300, but it's kind of difficult to pay for an online service with cash when you're in the middle of nowhere and can't get to a bank. Also, they give you really shady looking checks that can only be cashed at truck stops. Try to cash them anywhere else and they'll be confiscated. This is just another way the trucking industry ruined my credit score. I kept getting calls asking, when do you think you'll be able to pay us? I could only respond with an, I don't know, they haven't paid me yet. Imagine being told, you're gonna lose your car, but there's nothing you can do because the company won't pay you. So many trucking companies advertise, we actually pay on time, but none of them do. Also, the fact that they feel that they have to advertise that paints a pretty picture of what's wrong with the trucking industry. Most companies don't advertise this because it should be obvious that you'll get paid for the work you do on time. Now, before I continue, I'm gonna address a few excuses people give the trucking industry when I tell these stories. People often say, well, you just chose a bad company, but companies that refuse to pay you shouldn't be given a pass. I mean, if you found out a company used slave labor, your response wouldn't be, well, it's okay because it's a bad company, would it? All trucking companies should be held to the same high standards as the best company, or at least one that pays you on time, or at all. Companies that refuse to pay their drivers shouldn't be allowed to do business. I also often get told, well, maybe you weren't smart enough. Makes sense until you realize that even people with a college education with bachelor's degrees fail in the trucking industry. Seriously, go to a trucking forum. You'll find several people with college backgrounds that can't get a job as a truck driver because a previous company fired them. A lot of them complained that they took a huge pay cut becoming a truck driver. And I myself have a college education as well. I only left because it was expensive and college takes 4 years, while the truck driving school promised to only take 1 month. But it's been way more than 4 years. If I had just stayed in college, I'd be in a way better position. Don't ever leave a college profession to become a truck driver. I also hear people say, well, maybe you just don't have what it takes to be a truck driver. Because yeah, customers constantly falsely accuse you of stuff. Companies falsely accuse you of damaging a trailer. The company wouldn't provide you with proper rollers. The company wouldn't teach you how to back up the trailer. But no, disregard all of that. It's your fault. You just didn't have what it takes. Because as we all know, if the company abuses you, it's not the company's fault. No, it's your fault. You didn't have what it takes to not be abused. Okay, I forgot to talk about yard truck driving. I've already talked about my experience with yard truck driving, which I'll link in the description, but after working at another company as a yard truck driver, I'm convinced the position of yard truck driver is just a warehouse position in disguise. In this job, I did nothing but load trailers and pack shipments of lumber, but as I stated earlier, I hate warehouse jobs. I quit after 2 days. I was gonna stay longer, but they were one of those companies that fire you instantly when they find out you plan on quitting. They told me to clock out, then they incorrectly listed no call, no show as the reason for leaving, even though they told me to clock out. Warehouse companies are just as dishonest as trucking companies. Sorry, but I'm not into this whole thing of tricking me into working at a warehouse by lying and saying it's a yard truck driver position. No, thank you. Now we're going to talk about trucker fails videos or trucker fails compilation videos. One thing I hate about the trucking industry is that there are people who would see a rookie driver struggling, but instead of helping them, they'd film them and put it on YouTube under the term trucker fails. I have a word I use to describe these types of people, but I can't say it because it's not very family friendly. Back when I was actively looking for another job in the trucking industry, I got these types of videos recommended to me all the time, and each one I saw made me more and more furious. Oftentimes, I could relate to the people in these videos because here you have a rookie driver with inadequate training trying to accomplish a task the company should have taught him how to do, and someone who's capable of helping him decides instead to ridicule him. I don't understand what kind of terrible person you'd have to be to choose humiliating someone on the internet over helping them. And yes, most of these videos I've seen were not taken by a bystander, but by another truck driver, oftentimes from inside his truck. What's really annoying is they'll often make comments like idiot, etc. But again, if the company had simply trained these people, it wouldn't have happened! Since I was in the same boat as a lot of these unfortunate drivers, I often felt as though these insults were hurled at me personally. If it were possible, I'd like to reach through the screen and punch the people responsible for these videos in the face. The one that hurt me the most was this one clip where a rookie driver had hit a low clearance bridge. The guy was crying because he knew his career was over, but the guy holding the camera just chuckled and said, "Well, that's Chicago for you." I don't understand how someone can still be smiling when someone is about to lose their career. Seeing that clip made me want to cry because I know all too well how it feels. There should be a federal law passed so that if a CDL holder sees another CDL holder about to hit something but doesn't try to stop them, especially if they film it for fun, they'll be responsible for half the damage caused. Because it seems as though laws are required to force truck drivers to not be horrible to rookie drivers. That clip actually reminds me of something else I hate about the trucking industry: bridge clearance signs. You might wonder why I hate bridge clearance signs. The reason is simple: they aren't regulated in the slightest. There are literally no laws requiring these signs to be accurate. In fact, I've been told that these signs are often the last things to be replaced when construction work is done. To give you an idea of how much these people care about these bridge clearance signs, a bridge clearance sign for 13 feet 7 inches fell off of a bridge over US 22 near the Wilson, Pennsylvania exit years ago, and they never replaced it. I was told after a certain height, which still hasn't been determined, they stopped reporting the height, but it's equally possible the sign fell off and was never replaced because nobody cares about these signs enough to check up on them. Not only that, but towns that are run by people who hate truck drivers place fake bridge clearance signs to keep truck drivers away, and apparently there's no law telling them they can't do this. These hypocrites want to reap the benefits of a fully stocked store shelf, but want to keep trucks out of their town. A bumper sticker I saw on the back of a truck said it best: "Tired of seeing trucks? Stop buying stuff." Another thing these trucker fails videos alerted me to is the sheer amount of racist truck drivers. An alarming percentage of the comments on these types of videos are from truck drivers assuming the people messed up because they were from another country. They even have a slur for foreign truck drivers: steering wheel holders. They themselves define this term as being less than a qualified truck driver, simply turning the steering wheel but not actively driving. I've only ever seen this term being directly related to foreign truck drivers, even if it's undetermined where the driver is from because their face wasn't visible. By these guys' logic, put an American in the seat of a truck without proper training and they won't fail, but put a foreigner in the same seat with inaccurate training and they will. What's really weird is that if you try to call them out on this, they'll try to defend their actions by saying that foreigners aren't good truck drivers. Go figure. Also, if you hit a bridge, even if you're 13 feet 6 inches and the sign said 15 feet, they'd still blame it on you, so these signs are utterly useless. There are still far more things I hate about the trucking industry. Next, I'm going to talk about automatic trucks. People keep saying that trucks with automatic transmissions control exactly like trucks with manual transmissions, but it's not true. Having driven both, I can assure you that automatic trucks take way longer to stop than manual ones. In fact, while I was in truck driving school, they showed a news article of a rookie truck driver that got into an accident because he wasn't used to the stopping distance of automatic trucks versus manual ones. They also seem to have very sensitive steering, especially at highway speeds, when compared to manual trucks. In fact, the automatic truck kept ruining my line when going around a curve because it kept turning too sharply. I had difficulty trying to figure out how far to turn the steering wheel because it always turned at a different radius than expected. Then again, maybe it was because I haven't driven a truck in 3 years since no one would freaking hire me. It's kind of hard to remember how to do something you haven't done in 3 years. This is probably why school bus drivers have a recertification class every 4 years. Earlier, I expressed my disdain for the hours of service regulations, but what's really annoying is when you can't find a place to park and have to drive with no hours left risking a ticket. Some states have very terrible parking for trucks, and I found this out the hard way. I was in the Newark, New Jersey area and had 30 minutes of drive time left, meaning I could only drive for 30 more minutes. You might be thinking, what? 30 minutes? That's poor planning. But most of my training took place in the Midwest and Southeast. It never took me more than 30 minutes to find a truck stop. I looked up truck stop in the GPS that came with the truck, and to my horror, the nearest one was on exit 7 in Phillipsburg, New Jersey on I-78. There are no truck stops anywhere near Newark, New Jersey, not even on the outskirts. You have to go all the way to the Pennsylvania border just to find a place to park. This being my first day driving in New Jersey, I don't even drive my car there. I was so unprepared for that. I panicked and looked for a rest area, but the truck's GPS couldn't find one. There are no rest areas anywhere in New Jersey that trucks are allowed in. I then looked up truck stop on my phone's Google Maps app, and the nearest one was on I-78 at exit 7 near Phillipsburg, New Jersey. I then looked up rest area and found one nearby on the Garden State Parkway. Now, in the previous part, I already explained how I didn't know trucks weren't allowed on the Garden State Parkway. I'll link that in the description for better context. After being pulled over and being told I couldn't stay at that rest area, even though I had barely any minutes left, I was told to take the next exit and just keep driving until I found an area to park for the night. By the way, did I mention how much I hate driving in New Jersey? I did, however, get a chuckle when going through the toll booth and looking at the shocked face the toll operator made. While driving down I-78 West, desperately looking for a place to park, I saw several rest areas, all of which were cars only, or cars, buses, and RVs only. Meanwhile, the GPS computer thing the trucking company uses to spy on you said, "You are out of hours of service drive time." Then the numbers turned red and then started counting into the negative, followed by an error sound from Windows XP. Then it said, "My full name is out of hours of service drive time and is in violation." At this point, I'm sweating because I have two options. Option 1, pull over on the shoulder and risk getting a ticket for parking on the shoulder of a highway. If you go with this option, you also run the risk of getting rear-ended by a drunk driver, which will kill the drunk driver. You would think that a drunk driver running into a parked semi would be blamed for the accident, but if you're already in violation, they blame it on you, saying, if you had found a place to park sooner, this wouldn't have happened. Then you'll get a preventable accident where someone died added to your record, or worse, go to jail for manslaughter. Okay then, option 2, keep going until you find a safe place to park. Actually, no. If you get into an accident while finding a place to park, even if it's not your fault legally, they'll still blame it on you, once again saying if you had parked the truck sooner, the accident wouldn't have happened. You'll get a preventable accident added to your record, and if the other person died, you'll go to jail for manslaughter. Hell, the way this logic works, a terrorist could suicide bomb your truck, and they'll just say if you had parked the truck sooner, the terrorist wouldn't have killed himself using your specific truck. I mean, hell, he probably would have just used another target anyway, but no, you're somehow responsible for his death. Also, if you happen to get pulled over while looking for a place to park, they don't give a damn. A ticket's the least of your problems. They may shut you down for 24 to 48 hours. That means they'll place a do not move sticker on your truck and you cannot move an inch for the next 24 to 48 hours. Out of food supplies? Sucks to be you. Maybe if you can get Pizza Hut or Domino's to deliver to your exact location, I don't know. When I finally found a truck stop on I-78, exit 7 near Phillipsburg, New Jersey, I had -1 hours left, but the truck stop was full, so I tried the one across the street, and it was full as well. I settled for parking in the fire lane. The manager came out immediately. I said, look, I don't have any hours left and all the other truck stops are full, and there are none in a 100-mile radius, so I don't have a choice. He said, okay, just make sure you leave as soon as your 10-hour break is done. Literally the only stroke of luck I've had that entire day. It was just one unlucky situation after the other. Some truck drivers say if you run out of hours, you're just bad at planning. But one morning I was on I-280 near Newark, New Jersey, and there were miles and miles of trucks all parked on the shoulder of the highway. I highly doubt all of those drivers were bad at trip planning. They probably realized for the first time how bad parking was in New Jersey. Hell, even my trainers had this problem from time to time. One day, while switching seats with my trainer, I asked him, isn't it illegal to park on the side of the highway? He said, I have no choice. There are no truck stops or rest areas in this area. This is exactly why I hate the hours of service regulations. It's stupid that even though I only had one more store to deliver to, I had to go all the way to Phillipsburg, New Jersey for a 10-hour break, then go all the way back to Newark the next day when I was already there. The store said they wouldn't let me spend the night there. It would have made way more sense if I could have just unloaded at that last store, take a quick power nap, then drive to Phillipsburg, New Jersey for a rest. These stupid laws require me to waste an entire day just driving to and from Newark. But what's really annoying is even though large grocery stores like Walmart, Giant, Target, and Wegmans have huge empty areas in their parking lots with plenty of room for trucks, they won't let you park there. One day when I was in the Allentown, Pennsylvania area, no trailer attached, I was looking for a truck stop to spend the night. There are 2 truck stops in Allentown, which is odd considering how industrial that city is. That city is virtually covered in warehouses. Both truck stops were completely full. I then noticed a Walmart across the street with a nearly empty parking lot. I tried going there, but the parking lot was protected by a low clearance sign, even though there wasn't a damn thing in that parking lot that was low clearance. They put that there just so truck drivers couldn't go there. Walmart, if you're listening, we often buy things when we park there. Why block us from accessing your parking lots? Grocery stores treat truck drivers like large cities treat homeless people. They treat them like a nuisance, ignoring the fact that there are people with needs. To everyone who puts up those stupid no tractor trailer overnight parking signs, where the hell else do you expect us to park when there are no nearby truck stops, and even if there is one, all the parking spots are always taken? Also, there needs to be more or larger truck stops. Pulling into a truck stop and finding no available spots gets really old really fast. Laws should be passed forcing the northeastern cities to build more truck stops. There should always be double the amount of spaces as there are trucks in a given area. Also, even if a grocery store lets you park there, when the shifts change, you might be greeted by a manager who doesn't want trucks parking on their lot. They don't care that the other manager said it was okay. They'll ask you to leave or they'll call the cops. Then you'll be forced to drive with no hours left. Walmart's so bad with this, they once had a Walmart truck towed for parking at a Walmart. At one store I went to, there were signs that said all trucks with arrows to follow. Those arrows led me out of the parking lot. Well played. U-turning is also annoying. Since trucks are obviously too long to make a U-turn in the middle of the road, your only options are either making 3 lefts or rights at intersections, then turning the opposite way at the 4th one, or looking for a large parking lot to turn around. But as you'd expect, most of those people who put up no tractor trailer overnight parking signs also have no tractor trailer turnaround signs. I've even seen some signs that said that they checked their security cameras and will try to have you arrested for trespassing. I don't get it. People have used the driveway in front of my house to make U-turns, but it never really bothered me, especially if my car wasn't even there at the time. These days, some warehouses won't even let you U-turn there, and even if you make a delivery there, they won't let you park there. Even though I have a car, I've never drove in New York City, nor would I want to. Whenever I go to New York City, I take a bus to Port Authority bus terminal, then take the subway the rest of the way. I'm super glad I never had to drive in that city. When riding in a car in that city, I saw a tightly curved on-ramp leading to a highway. At the end of that ramp was a sign that said, "No trucks. Do not attempt to reverse. Contact police for further instructions." Like the signs on the on-ramps for the Garden State Parkway, this sign baffled me. Why would you wait until the end of the on-ramp to tell truck drivers they weren't allowed to use that highway? Here's an idea. Tell them before the on-ramp. Thank goodness I never had to drive in New York City. Now let's talk about gaslighting. Because when Family Dollar accused me of denting that trailer, Werner Enterprises tried to gaslight me into thinking I did the damage. My fleet manager said things like, "Well, you were the last one with the trailer, even though the trailer was dented before I even coupled to it." Well, you hit a tree, even though a cop said the tree branch wasn't powerful enough to cause a dent in the trailer. He literally said, "The only thing I've seen that caused that kind of damage was hitting a building." But both Family Dollar and Werner Enterprises ignored that. The cop even said there's no point in filing an accident report because all you did was scratch the paint. They ignored all of this. I know for a fact that a tree branch cannot dent a trailer. When riding city buses, they occasionally hit tree branches while pulling into a stop, but it never dented the bus at all. These people need to demonstrate the thing they're accusing me of is even possible. Pick up a tree branch and scrape it against the trailer. If it magically penetrates the metal walls, you'll at least convince me it's possible. Anyways, that's all the time I have for this video. In the next part, I'll cover unhealthy food options, how getting a ticket while driving your car can affect your career, waiting for days to be assigned a trailer, being given the wrong shipping ID, why I chose rest areas over truck stops, how every on-duty status needs to take 15 minutes, merging, i.e. getting onto the highway, and putting air in your tires. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.